Is it hot? The wall unit's just right there on the wall.
Some new, like CNN or something, but it was shown both people were calling it, but one person said, well, what happened to Detroit, da, 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 da. And then
John, hi.
they said, well, what about, hey, how are you?
You too.
So will I be in charge of the summer staff?
Where did you get this?
Yeah.
I turned it to 67, it was 70. My house is 67.
Both of them are. Well,
Time.
I don't even. Well, we got one. But I don't know.
We're talking about, so I'm not.
Well, maybe.
That we're gonna talk about that.
No.
Who else is here? Is that Cindy?
This is just, give it to me.
I wrote it. Did you? Would you?
Wait, are we not doing a vote?
Outside windmill, clear to the south.
Share? Yeah, we should place chair. Why is that not?
It should be on there.
It
It's
is.
under
Number
discussion
five,
of
number
action
C.
selection.
See?
Yeah.
5C.
Yep.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
And I checked on the website, and there is no distance on the website.
Okay, yeah, I can do it.
Oh.
No, there's
No,
not.
and there wasn't anything in the minutes either, but I remember us discussing.
But it had it memorialized.
No, we didn't, it doesn't matter, because it's not, it hasn't, we haven't identified the building anyway. But the spirit of it is limited.
Supposed to be by the highway.
Right, well, within the first year.
We're certainly not extending it miles.
Oh, it's 2.5 miles. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, well, on the county website, it's 2.52 miles.
Okay.
Doesn't mean they can't come back.
Right.
Where would they put their water?
Oh, yeah. Come over here with us other guys on the tie on and go up to that other building.
What if our house was large, we could put out?
So.
If our house was set on fire, we could put out.
My dog?
No.
No, Mary. Oh, Mary, our friend?
Oh,
how is
that works.
she took her 50 these repairs and service of Hannah Burton. I'm surprised she'll be the greatest. I
Give it
told
first, you know, both. Appreciate both.
told her that, but there's a lot of stuff that's done all. There's a lot of clearing out. She just has a little bit. She said she wanted to get around. I said, well, all the other ones, all the other
Structure that's in place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have.
So they have to have all that before that we can go.
Don't tell me you know.
Right, well, here, that's one of the reasons.
I guess you forget my keys.
I know, because I've been.
Oh.
I can't.
I did
Not
too.
Yeah, cold plunge.
No.
He hasn't been this way.
You haven't been taken in the back room and showed out.
I don't know if that's a good idea. So.
I'd like to welcome you to the planning commission meeting on January 6th, 2021. Happy New Year, everybody. Could we get up and say the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. First off, before I take the roll call, I'd like to welcome our newest member, Richard Fisher, who is a font of information. So he is very welcome to the planning commission. I'd like to take roll call at this time.
Lee Graylish here. Alan Angel here.
Janet Prentice here.
Lynn Jorgensen here.
Richard Fisher here.
Thank you. Do we have any conflict of interest?
No.
Anybody? No? Okay. And approval of minutes of prior meetings.
There's no reason.
There were-
Do we have some?
No.
No, we didn't have any.
I didn't-
That's what I didn't say.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so we're gonna open a public hearing for zone change of northwest section of parcel AP-1329 from open space to rural estate 1 acre. Applicant is Travis Wells. Travis, could you identify yourself? Hi. Oh. It's changed. Okay, so I'd like to open the public hearing at this time.
It's an Amber Alert. It's sending out to people's phones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything to say?
If someone else does, I have something to say.
Please, John.
Even if other people do, you can talk.
So at the last town council meeting,
Sorry, would you just identify yourself?
oh, Josie,
Okay.
at the last town
Can you come
council
back?
meeting,
Excuse me, can you come down here so the camera can see you good and everything, please?
Yeah, we have a podium now.
so at the last town council meeting, there was a list of questions, I think you presented, relative to this development. And I believe the town council, signed up to answer those questions for tonight's meeting. So I want to make sure, probably the first thing we should do is answer those questions, right?
The council or the planning commission?
The town council was answering them to Janet for this meeting
This is a
before
public hearing, so this isn't a time for us to talk, it's a time for you to talk.
Yeah,
I just talked.
Okay.
So do we have those questions and answers available?
I didn't get any, no.
I think you took that, action item, Debbie.
Correct. I emailed them to you.
You did. So I got it from Debbie.
Oh, so she
Okay,
submitted
that's-
them.
That's it.
So we're not going to talk about those answers to tonight's meeting that directly relate to this parcel, 1329?
Do you have any questions you want us to address?
I would like to address the questions that were asked before at the council meeting.
These were all asked by city member or the people from the city town. And, the only one that answered them was Debbie. And this.
Do you want to read those answers?
Huh?
Do you want to read those answers
It's not
that you
up to
received?
us to do that, this is a
Yeah,
public
it is
hearing.
up to the
For
town,
you all.
it's up to the town council, I've been told. That we're just a recommending body, and so I can't do this. So if anybody has any questions about this.
I don't have the answers.
Well, do you have the questions?
To be clear, a public hearing we've been over this and over this, is a chance for you to talk. It's not a chance for us to.
I'm
have
here to
dialogue.
listen to the answers to the questions that were asked at the council meeting,
Right, but
that were
that's,
supposed to be presented
that's not on
tonight.
our agenda, sorry about that.
If you'd like to ask this question, we'll try to answer it, but
It's actually not for you all to answer, it was the town council to answer and present them tonight.
town council isn't tonight's planning commission.
Yeah, that will be done.
They were supposed to be answered for tonight for hearing on this
We
parcel.
understand that you think that's true, but that didn't happen, sorry about that.
It didn't happen at all?
We don't have anybody here to answer those questions.
Well, can you answer them, Debbie?
I gave my answer to Janet.
Well, then Janet answer the answers.
No, I'm gonna do it at the town council meeting.
Is that the only thing you wanted to comment on?
Pretty much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tony.
Anybody else? This is a public hearing, it's not a dialogue, I'm sorry, but we can't have conversations. We have to have, you get to talk to us. That's what a
Yeah,
public
this
hearing is for.
is, I'll be taking up at the town council meeting. Is
I
anyone
have
else
public comment.
this project?
Somebody online.
Hi.
Shameen, hi,
Hi, how are you guys?
good.
Good. Unfortunately, it's a question. I was just wondering, at the last town council meeting, Mr. Lisenby said that he had discovered that notice was defective regarding this agenda, or rather this planning commission meeting today, because notice was not provided in the local paper. I was wondering if notice was effectuated legally and properly for today's meeting.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was this time, and it was also posted in the digital spectrum. And from now on, they will be posted in the spectrum. So, because a lot of us get the digital copy.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't get.
as everybody probably knows, this is a redo. The meeting we had last month, which was on this same agenda, wasn't properly noticed. This one was.
Speaking? Sorry.
So this is kind of a moot point, as the town council has already made up their mind on this matter.
But I was just wondering who was speaking.
Who would what?
Who had just spoken? I didn't.
Alan, this is Alan Angel. I'm sorry, I thought you could see me. Yeah.
I can see you. I don't know who you are.
Oh, I'm Alan. Nice to meet
Okay.
you.
Well, your nameplate is really small, so I can't read it on my computer.
Okay, my name is Alan Angel.
Okay. And then the second thing I wanted to bring up really is a comment. I'm asking the Planning Commission to oppose the zoning application for AB 1329. And as I understand it, it's the parcel that is northwest, not the southeast, if that makes any sense, the upper part. The reason I'm asking the town council to recommend that the parcel not be rezoned is for several reasons. The biggest reason, I think, is that I just don't have confidence in the town's mayor to draft a development agreement that will protect the interests of the citizens and will create the infrastructure that is needed for this parcel. I don't have confidence in the developer to follow any of the development agreement. I think from past historical experiences between developers and Apple Valley, development agreements are only abided by us so far as it benefits the developer and not necessarily the town. We don't have enough water. I don't care if anybody thinks that Harold Merritt has said that we do have enough water. With the infrastructure in place right now, we don't have the water, and we need to be thinking about these things 10, 20 years into the future.
Thank you, Shameen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Comments?
Yeah, I have one. Did I stand up here?
Yes, please.
Okay, my name's Walter Josie, and I guess this is one of the first ones of these that I've attended.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Well, actually, not one of the first ones, but is the first one.
you're the first one on my.
Yeah, so I'm a little confused at how it's supposed to go.
No worries.
So, the previous person asked you a question, but then you said that we're not here to answer questions.
Correct.
But then this person asked a question, but then you're.
Yeah, well, that was a series of questions for the town council.
Okay.
And so I expect answers from the town council when I go to the meeting next week.
Okay, and so this person who's asking that question was a question you guys could
Yes.
answer. So it's not the fact that you don't,
It's not that we can't, it's
Okay.
that the public hearing is designed for the public to talk. We can speak if we want to, but it's
Yeah.
not up to us to do that.
okay, so you can answer my questions like we're, okay,
If they're directed at us, not the town council, we're not the town council.
yeah, okay.
You have,
Yeah.
Sid, you're one of our longtime residents.
Okay,
Do you have any questions on this?
I do actually, now that I
Okay.
know that I can ask you some. I've been bumping into some of my, and this may not apply to you, you can just tell me, but I've been bumping into some of my neighbors who haven't received this letter. And so the common answer that I'm getting back is that they have to be within 500 feet.
Yes.
Okay, so I got a letter, and so in the letter, there's a map on the back side, and it shows, to me, it shows two separate parcels.
Yes,
Is that true?
yes.
Are these two parcels different land numbers? I mean, are they
Well,
different?
they're the same parcel
Yeah.
number, yet they have been sold, the 58 acres that is coming off the wrong way. That has been sold to Travis Wells,
Okay,
or is going to be sold to Travis Wells.
so this, we're talking about this one right here.
Yes,
Right,
Yeah, the application just changed the zone is for the north one.
Is for this one.
yes.
but
So,
what goes on in the future with the other parcel, we don't know yet.
okay,
It's not in play.
all right. So I'm curious as to why I ended up getting, I'm happy to get a letter. But I didn't meet the criteria, which is for 500 feet. So that's why I wanted to make sure we're talking about this,
Yes.
because I live way down here.
Yeah, I know you do.
So why would I get a letter if I'm not within 500 feet if we're not considering this as well?
I don't know.
All right. So
Staff
just-
address that, maybe
So-
staff can?
Yeah, so in an overabundance of caution, because they're both labeled 1329, then we send out notices. It's just a courtesy notice. It's not
Okay.
required by law or anything. Just a courtesy notice to 500 feet within both properties of 1329. And we hope to make it very clear that it's just the northwest lot.
Yeah, just this part right here.
That's-
Okay, that's one of the things I wanted to clarify. Okay, so, it takes me a little while to get my thoughts processed through.
That's okay.
So this is just not a critical question, but just an informative question. What are the things that you guys are looking at when you're considering making a zone change in order to do a recommendation? What is the criteria that you're looking at?
There's the general plan map, stuff like that. If somebody wants something that's in an area, then we really don't have a right to say no. If it's not in that area, not in the general plan map and things like that, then we can look at it. But as long as they're asking for something that's already planned on going in that area,
Yeah.
we pretty much legally can't even say no, because it's done already in the general plan, things like that, right?
Not
As long as
entirely.
it
We have discretion, this body has discretion with regard to what we recommend to the town council. We're not a decision-making body, we're a recommendation body.
Yeah, I understand
So
that.
whatever happens here could easily be changed when it gets to the council. So some of the things that, at least from my perspective, that I consider is, the first thing is does the general map allow for this zone change? In this case, it does. But then after that, we have to look at what effect does that zone change have, or could it have, some of the inevitabilities.
He goes down at the end of the flooding on that
Yeah,
side.
so water is an issue, overdevelopment is an issue, traffic is an
Traffic's an
issue.
issue.
Comments, concerns from, obviously, the public hearings are not here just because we legally have to, but we want to, but if,
Fire access,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff's all an issue.
so as a recommending body, we try to bring in all those factors and our own personal wisdom, I suppose.
Okay, so it's not just the general plan map, you actually consider a lot of other different factors then. So in this particular one, what factors have you been looking at?
Infrastructure, the ponds need to be put in.
Hang on, I can't hear you. A lot of people being kidnapped today, I guess. Everybody's getting it.
Put them on vibrate, please.
Hold on, please turn it
Can
off.
I interrupt? Who is the gentleman in the white in the basement?
Basically, all the things we just said, we take into account.
Okay.
Well, we do have at the end of the flooding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I understand, but
On this one, we want to have the ponds, the retention ponds put in so that the flooding on Mount Zion Drive stops, because that is the floodplain right there.
Okay,
And it was, on the general map, it was 1 acre. When we had our land use management meetings, we were told by the land use of Utah to change all undeveloped land to open space. That's why we're changing it from open space to 1 acre,
Mhm.
which I guess is we're changing it back to what it used to be on the
That's what the
map.
application's asking for.
Okay.
When she says we are doing something,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
Yeah,
improper.
we're not doing anything,
No.
we're recommending. to
No,
the
and I'm not
council.
looking for impropriety, I'm just
Yeah.
looking for information. So the, so you've taken a look at the drainage then, or the water runoff?
Yeah.
And so what have you decided about that? I mean, how
It's
are
a
we
major
gonna?
concern.
It's a major concern, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we're not engineers, we're not qualified to make that assessment, just it's something that we know is an issue.
okay,
In order for them to proceed with the development, they're gonna have to address that issue. They're gonna have to address the issue of storm drainage, water runoff, the water system that's gonna go in place, roads, fire access. They have to address all that before they can do anything with the development.
And keep in mind, we're here to discuss an application about a zone change, not about a development specifically.
okay, so
Man in the white
let
shirt,
me
what's
just
your
state
name?
that there are certain things that I already understand from what you guys are telling me. One is that you're just an advisory board, right?
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct.
Okay, so I understand that, right? And then this is just a zone change, right? But then I've asked the question, what do you can, all the things that you consider when you're going to make a suggestion or advisory to the town council. And then I was happy to hear that you're looking at several different factors. So can I ask questions about those factors?
Yes.
Rather you just tell us what you think, because that's what a public hearing is for.
So now you're telling me
It's not supposed to be a
you don't want to do the
Well, we
question.
haven't
Honestly, we
determined the outcome.
really are trying to hold people to 3 minutes. and we've already gone over that.
So-
Oh, well,
This is
so-
what happens when you get into a dialogue.
I think what you need to address those questions to the town council, they actually are the decision makers.
okay, so I'll make a final statement if you allow me.
Sure.
Please.
So I think that if you're wanting input from citizenry, then we need to have information in order to give you proper input. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
And so if this is one of the first levels that we can give input and you're already looking at things, then I'm asking questions about them and I think that I should have answers.
So right now it's just zone change. They haven't given us any of those answers that you want, because we're not talking about a development. We're only talking about a zone
And the
change.
fact
So
is,
then how-
at this stage of the game, they can tell us anything. and it's not-
It looks like that we're gonna have a back and forth, which I don't want to have.
Yeah.
3 minutes is up, and I disagree with this process. Thank you.
Did you want to go on record as to, do you have a perspective on whether or not you think this zone change should happen?
So I'm allowed to speak some?
Sure. Well,
That's basically what we're here for,
yeah,
Walter.
I want to hear people pro and con, so.
Walter's
Do you
one
have
of
a-
Walter's one of our oldest residents, so, and.
He's not that old.
Okay, he's had a home out here for a very long time.
He's just asking, are you for it or not for it? That's basically bottom line.
I'm going to object to that question.
Okay,
And the reason why is because I feel like that if you're going to ask me a question, that I should come up and not just give you the answer that you wanted to hear.
perfectly acceptable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Walter.
Who's next?
I have another question since you rephrased what you were saying before, and I agree with this gentleman. I think that the planning commission and the people here in the audience don't have enough information. And I believe it should be tabled until you collect enough information to make a decision before it goes to the town council.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I think.
Who's next?
We don't have enough information, I
Correct.
think, either, because as to what, because we were told 2.5 acres and then some would be on. And Travis, I'd like to address this to you, because you said most of your representative said most of the lots would be 2.5 acres, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to offer as the planning commission, that we would give you special compensation on 3 or 4 lots and making them less than 2.5 acres for having to do the work for the retention funds.
It's a zone change
What?
application.
It's a zone change.
We can't be backroom dealing, development, it's a zone change application.
Yeah.
Can't give him compensation
I
anyways.
mean,
Go ahead,
So I'm representing Travis. I'm Craig Coast with Alliance Consulting.
please come up.
And I usually like to hear people's comments and then answer them all. So, but I want to speak, and I don't know, a lot of times in some councils, they close the public hearing and then I address. So I'm just asking what you guys would like.
we'd rather you do it as part of the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like me to do it?
Yeah,
now, or
come
you
on,
wanna hear
come on
more
up.
questions?
Come on up. Oh,
If you want to, based on what you just said, if you want to wait till other people.
I just want to answer everyone's questions.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay,
Is that okay
that'd
with
be
the
great.
votes? Yep. that'd be
Perfect.
great.
great.
Kathy? Come on up, girl.
Here we go. I'm Kathy Stoker, and I live at 1536 North Mount Zion Drive, which is pretty close to this zone change. And I moved here for the location. I moved here to Apple Valley for the location of beauty. I moved here for the location of recreation. And I'm here for the location because the land is beautiful. The sky is beautiful. It's clear in the day. It's a dark sky at night to see the stars. I think that's important. And, beauty of the people, the great people. And I moved here for recreation, location. Like to ride my horses. I like to hike. I like to bike. I like to do the ATVing. I moved to Apple Valley because of the location, for its beauty and for the opportunity for recreation. And what I would like to know is what can be done to ensure that we can have this opportunity to maintain the beauty, to maintain opportunities for the dark skies, to maintain the beauty of looking out over this. It's all about the location. And so if something is to happen, I would like to make sure that this is taken into consideration, that the way things might be done to that open land, if it is to be zoned for open land, that my considerations, and I know a lot of my neighbors' consideration, have to do with location. The location for its beauty and the location for its opportunity for recreation. I vote no to have this zoned from open land to have it be zoned for houses. If it is to happen, then I would like that addressed. How can we maintain the location for everybody? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Anybody else have a comment?
Is there anybody online, perhaps?
I'm happy to make a comment. This is Bevan Corey.
Yeah.
Can you hear
Go
me?
ahead,
Great.
Lori. Yeah,
Thank you. First of all, I just want to start by thanking Travis. I've reached out to him and he was kind enough to come up to my house and talk to me about all of this. And I just want to thank him for doing that with me. He took time out of what is a really busy schedule for him to do that. So I want to thank him for doing that and providing me with as much information I think that he had available to him at the time. I don't think he's trying to hide the ball from me. One thing that I point out from the beginning is that we've suddenly adopted this language about a planning commission being a body that just makes recommendations, and the language in the operative statute says that a council is allowed to make revisions to the plan that is approved by the planning commission. So the meaning of the word revision does not mean that you're allowed to just do whatever you want without regard to the recommendation of the planning commission. From what I understand, and speaking with the ombudsman of the state, that's a case of first impression in terms of whether or not the word revision is binding on the town council. But it certainly implies by the plain language of the statute that revision does not mean that it's just strictly a recommendation. It means that there has to be incorporation of the decision of the planning commission in the town council determinations. So this idea that this planning commission just exists to listen to things and the town council can do what they want flies in the face of the language of the statute. And why would there in fact be a planning commission hearing stage if it was something that was essentially irrelevant in the city council making their final decision? So push back a little bit against that interpretation of what the statute means, especially if we're in a scenario where this is the public hearing. We've definitely learned today the importance of democracy in this country and listening to the people that are here and making decisions. And this being the part of public comment, I think that this hearing is essential to making final determinations, and it does have weight legally in terms of what the final determinations are. I spoke with Travis and I understand what he says. He said that he wants to come up here and live in the country. I understand that. I think that's why a lot of people are here, is that they want to live in the country. Sometimes, however, when we attempt to do things and we have an idea of what we want, or attempting to get to those things for ourselves ends up destroying the very thing that we're after. I saw that happen in Heber and Oakley and Park City. All of those places were places where people lived in the country. It's happening in Hurricane right now, where everybody wants a piece of the country, and pretty soon it's not the country anymore. It turns into a problem, especially when you're talking about one road, really, which is the access for this road. I know that technically there would be the ability to have a dirt road to get in there from Main Street, but it's about 5 or 6 times the distance on a dirt road to travel all the way out and then drive that dusty dirt road in Main Street and then cut across the land to get into it. So in effect, everybody is going to drive on Rome. And it's going to happen right next to my house. You're going to have a lot of traffic that is driving right next to my house. Forest House is going to have the headlights for every one of those vehicles that comes out of that place. It's going to shine right into his house. It's going to dramatically change the environment that he has when he's living there. And I think that we need to take that into consideration in terms of the values the people have here and what they own, and what they care about and what they're concerned about. I think those things are extremely important. Those are the parts of the democratic process that's important. I know that Travis has tried to give me whatever information he has about the development plan, but I don't think that there actually is one in terms of there being a specific development plan, which very specifically delineates the way that this plan is going to be used. The first talked about 1 acre parcels along Rome, and now it sounds like there's potentially going to be more of them along the pond in order for them to make it money, make the plan viable from a financial perspective. And that's why I think everybody's really thirsty for knowing enough information to make an informed choice by the town council in terms of what this development plan is. And in order for the council to make that recommendation, I think that they have to be informed, and the people have to be informed in order to be able to put forth that information. Previously, there was discussion that there wasn't a 2.5 acre potential, but from what I gather, it turns out that we could zone this as 2.5 acres. It seems to me like that would be a much saner way to try to zone this if in fact it's going to be changed from open space. And then if the developer needs to have specific exceptions to that, then the town on an individual basis could make decisions about changing those particular parcels that are considered to be changed to a different allotment of acreage. We can fix that as we go, whereas it's going to be a lot harder to put the jack in the box back in there once it's just specifically 1 acre. The desire for people, I know that they have intentions of primarily making this 2.5 acres. I completely understand that. I absolutely believe that Travis is being completely honest with me about all of that. But as they often say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And when people are looking at the possibility of making more money by making this small acreage, then there's always going to be a temptation for that to occur. So the safer choice, in my view, personally, I would prefer that it stay open space, but if it's not, then I think 2.5 acres And then looking at changing that after the fact would be a much more prudent choice. And I think that that's probably reflected in all of the people here in Apple Valley. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Bevan. Does anybody else have a
Well,
comment?
one more thing. Who is the fellow in the white shirt and the gray hat? I don't know who that is.
White shirt and gray hair.
Talking about me?
Yes, sir.
That's Richard
Richard Fisher.
Fisher, our newest planning commissioner.
Thank you very much. That's all I have. Thanks.
Planning commissioner? What do you say?
This is our new planning commissioner.
From the county?
No, from the town. We were supposed to have 5 people.
Oh.
And we've been lacking one person
Okay.
for a while.
Okay.
And so Richard joined our ranks.
Could I make a comment real quick?
Sure.
So real quick. Just kind of, I'm not really even in my place, but to answer some of what you're talking about. I moved out here too, to be in the country. I bought 22 acres. I didn't want to be next door to the guy next door to me, okay? So I don't know what size of lot you have. I'm gonna assume that it's a 1 acre lot. So the town's pretty much said that we can't go anything less than half-acre lots. He's not asking for half. This has already been previously zoned for 1. He's asking for 1. You have a 1 acre lot.
Oh,
Oh, okay. And he's also saying that he's gonna split a big portion of that up into 2.5, which is greater than what you have. So anytime we get any developer, we're gonna have developers. We're gonna have them come by the droves, and we're gonna do the best we can to fight them off the stick, because we wanna keep our town small, okay? Believe me, I know. I don't mind grading roads. I volunteer to grade roads. I help out with that stuff all the time. And I like the small town, but they're gonna come. So if we have somebody who's willing not to fight tooth and nail and bring attorneys and everything else saying, hey, this is already in the general plan for this small, and I'm willing to give you so much of my land bigger than that, we should kind of take a little bit of consideration into what he's going through as well. That's all I'm saying.
and where do you live?
Clear out the booties,
Where is that?
Desert Drive.
all the way out
All the way
in town, south end of town.
Not affected by this project.
Not,
Yeah.
no, not at all. But I was just recently affected by some guy that bought the land next to me. He's gonna put 100 rental cabins next door to my house. I moved out the end of a 3-mile dirt road to not have neighbors, and I'm gonna have 100 rental cabins next door to my house. So.
Just to be clear, I want to make it clear that I'm not accusing Travis of any sort of nefarious anything. He's been an absolutely stand-up guy, and I really appreciate the dialogue that he's had with me. So I'm not trying to give the impression that I'm against
Thank
him or
you.
anything like that.
Thank you, Bevan.
Are you guys ready for me to address
Let's
that?
Yeah.
give everybody else a chance one more time real quick. If there's anybody online. that
Were
wants
you
to
gonna say
speak.
something?
I was just saying, those rental cabins, that's within the city limits,
Yes.
and that's already been approved.
No, they just got their zone change for it. They haven't came into the
Could
project.
we get back to the topic at hand, please?
Really?
Sorry,
but we
my
just
bad.
can't.
Is there anyone else?
Is nobody online? Yeah, go ahead.
You know, it's just with the more development, it's
Could
gonna
you-
lead.
Give us your name and address, please.
Come up.
Oh, that's done.
You can do it.
Brenda Griffin, 1727 North Juniper Circle, right for Apple Valley. We've got, what, 2.5 acres up there?
Right at the junction of the hill that's really bad.
Yeah, the hill's
Yeah.
bad there, you know, kind of concerned about that, but, more development's gonna lead to the infrastructure problems, which I don't think the town can afford. I mean, that road is terrible going up to ours, you know, it's caving in on both sides. I don't know about the rest of y'all's water pressure, but I mean, it's not great. And you bring all that other, I think this is something that we can't afford to do, really. You know, we can talk and talk and talk about the improvements, but if there's no money for it, you know, and I hate to see my taxes go higher like anybody else, you know, we've lived in Los Angeles and, you know, bigger cities back east. And this is exactly why we came out here, because we wanted to be in the country and we didn't want our house to look like everybody else's house in the neighborhood. So that's just what I'm saying. I'm not for it.
Thank you, Brenda.
The town doesn't ever take on the cost of the development for infrastructure.
We got it.
So existing residents would not be liable for any of the.
We have no way of knowing that because we're only entertaining a zone change right now. Sorry, we just can't, we have
It's
no.
just hard to entertain just a zoning change when it has so many ramifications.
I understand, that's the dilemma we're facing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's hard for us to support something when we really don't know what it's gonna do to affect.
Exactly right.
You wanna,
Yes. Planning Commission, thank you for your time this
excuse
evening.
me, you're.
I will do,
you're
I just-
social distance.
I'm just trying to make sure everyone's comfortable. I apologize.
What's your name again?
I'm Craig Coates. I'm with Alliance Consulting, representing Travis Wells on this property.
Thank you.
So appreciate your time tonight. Want to address some of these questions at the best of our ability at this time, because I want to start with we're at a zone change. The zone change right now, we haven't gone through the engineering process to figure out all the problems in the site. We understand that. We're not to that point. We've done our due diligence in understanding that there are some concerns. One, with the drainage. We understand there's a detention plan based. We went through the drainage report. We understand what's being asked for on that property. We understand that. We understand we're gonna have to deal with that. That's one of the reasons why we're trying to meet the general plan of the 1 acre, is because our plan is 2 to 2.5 acre lots. That's our goal. But we might have to have some 1 acre lots in some areas so that we can take out the detention area that we have to provide for this area to cover it. Because it's a large detention basin. It really is. And that helps the entire community to the south with the drainage concerns that you have. So we understand that concern. And we have to get to that. And that'll come next in the preliminary plat stage. So after the zoning, then you bring your preliminary plat, and the preliminary plat is where we do all the engineering and understand what's going on. And that's when the vested rights come in for the parcel and lay out how the lots are going to look. Now, we've done enough work that we understand that. I think there was a question I wasn't at the last meeting, my counterpart was here, but there was concern about, well, there's 58 acres, you can put 58 lots on there. That's not our intention. And you can't do that anyways with the roads and the drainage basins and all that. We estimate there's going to be between 21 and 25 lots between 1 acre and 2.5 acre. Our goal is to do 2.5 acre to 2 to 2.5 acres right in there. Because if we wanted a 1 acre, we could go somewhere else. We're looking for that. We think it'll really help the area with the views and everything to have that nice development as 2.5 acres. And we also don't want to put 50 homes right next to each other. I mean, that's super tight, and we understand that there's concerns of the water, but we talked with the water. You'll have to excuse me, I don't know his name, Harold. And in the council meeting, he mentioned that there's probably enough water, but he needs to evaluate it a little further. And we figured that'll happen in the next stage of the preliminary plat process. But my understanding is there is enough water to service about that many lots in that area. I wanted to address just clarify, Travis did close on the property and he does own that parcel now. So that's, he's the owner of the property. The concern of the last comment on the infrastructure problems, with development, that's where there is impact fees that we have to pay for each lot, which helps that money goes toward helping improve some of those things based on your master plan to improve those things. So the money from the development does help with improvements outside of the property's development. One comment we did get for the water is, hey, we want you to put in 12-inch water line in front of the road. And we're like, okay, it makes sense to just increase the size. We only need an 8-inch, but we'll put in the 12-inch through there. And it makes sense to help everybody out on that. That's kind of the gist of the questions that I had. As far as questions, was the big concern I understand was the infrastructure requirements and then the sizing of the lots. We really want, like I said, I've mentioned 1 to 2.5 acres is our goal. And we're just trying to meet the general plan and go with the 1. We can't really say, well, we're going to zone 2.5, but then we can't give you an exception. that we can't do that by law because we're only allowed 2.5 minimum in that zone. So we'd have to come in for a total separate zone change if we have those later. What our goal is to say, hey, 1 acre is what I want. There's trust between both of us on this level. Well, we're telling you now, we don't want to do we want a few 1 acres just to cover some of those problem areas. And then everything else, we want to be between 2 and 2.5 acres. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish on this. And a preliminary plat will show you. I mean, our plan is, if this moves forward and is to show you the preliminary plat and say, we'll go through that and get with your staff and understand all the concerns we have and see if we can meet all your problems and start checking off the box, all your concerns and laying them out. And a preliminary plat, go through all that with you as well at that end. Yes.
You open up roadway, Travis has the whole Mesa Top already zoned for residential. Is that gonna help him build up there?
You have to explain where you're talking, sorry. So on Rome Way.
Yeah,
So he doesn't own the entire Mesa.
well, he came in for his own change up there.
Who?
Travis Wells.
Travis Wells.
Travis Wells.
That's who I'm representing.
Huh?
That's who I'm representing is Travis.
Are you talking about Travis Holmes?
Travis Holmes.
Yeah, is that who you're talking about?
Oh, Holmes.
Different guy.
Different guy.
This guy doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know who he is. So sorry.
I'm sorry. I thought it was the
I got it
same.
real quick. So
Yes.
a couple of residents asked about the roadway, because it is a really bad roadway, and I know because I help grade roads.
You going up the hill?
Up the hill. So you talked about the water lines and the drainage. What about the roadways or
So
anything like that?
we want to get with the city and work out, we want to pave development to the site. And so we want to do that. We want to pave up to an access and go through, but we just haven't gone through it. But that's our intention, is to look at that, because we don't want it to go from paved to dirt to paved.
Right.
We want paved in front of our development.
Yeah.
We want to help with that and get that up there and look at that.
And change the grade somewhat so the fire trucks can get up there.
Well, we can see what we can do, but we have to look at the engineering, but I don't know. I can't change
They
everything.
can't do that. The water mains and everything are already in the road.
They're already in the road, so we're stuck.
Can I ask a question real quick, since you're talking about runway? So you're not intending to provide ingress egress for your development using Main Street? I heard that as a rumor at some point, so you're gonna
So that-
still use Rome?
So in our preliminary discussions with the city, and it was before John was a part of the city, is they mentioned that might be something that you guys are interested in, is having at least a secondary access. We're open to either way. It doesn't matter to us if we have it, but if we want to, if that's something the city wants, we have worked it out with the property owners to get at least a gravel road to Main Street for emergency access.
That's not really affecting our zone right now, but when it
It's
comes to
not.
your plat and everything, fire chief will require that because of fire access
Yes,
more than even traffic. It's a safety issue for fires, so.
correct.
And
Fire chief will have last say on
He
that.
will, yes, he will.
I have
Yeah.
a question if I can ask it. I'm online.
Sure, Shemaine?
Yes, that's me. Thanks.
Okay.
Has anybody spoken to the fire chief actually about what is going to be required to bring Rome Avenue / Rome Way up to code? Because right now it's not up to code. And that's going to be really expensive for you guys. From what I understand, it needs to be widened in order to comply with fire code. It needs to be less than a 10% grade. And right now it's about 12%. I don't know how you're going to bring the grade down unless you lengthen it. And Rome Avenue or rather Rome Way is a finite length. So I don't know how you're going to grade the road if you're not able to lengthen it, or not grade the road, make the road less steep. And then as of right now, and I'm painfully aware of this because I live on Juniper, the road will require 6 inches of at least of compact. And right now the road is bare. You can see the sand and there's no compact on top of that. So I'm not sure if anybody has considered this and the considerable costs that are going to come with this. And it just may not be achievable for access from Rome Way, Rome Avenue, just due to the laws of physics and just that the landscape it's not amenable to that. So if you guys, I know you've already bought the property, you guys may want to look into this.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Ask you.
That'll happen when you come to us with plat.
Yep, we'll have to go through all the requirements in that.
Yeah.
Look at that. Do you want me to, do you want him to address you guys and I can answer his question, or do you want him to, is it okay if he just asks me?
Well, let's go ahead and ask him.
Thanks for being so open about extra information so that we can figure out, how we feel about that. I appreciate that very much. So you're talking about water a little earlier in your presentation, and you're using the word probably.
And the reason why I'm saying that, let me explain that, is because we don't know yet, because we're not to that point. We're not to a preliminary plat stage. We're at a zone change. So the zone change, we aren't required to go figure out all the problems on the site. It's just, will this work in this area? Yes. The vested rights really come in a preliminary plat. Because you have a zone change, but if you don't have all your other stuff figured out, you still can't do it. It's a preliminary plat is when typically you've gone through your engineering studies, you figured out your lots, you figured out all the items that are required, and then the planning commission and council can look at that and evaluate that, and then that time they can determine if it's moving forward and it's acceptable. And then after that you proceed forward with your construction design.
Okay, so let's just say your client gets approval for a zone change. Then do you have an estimated time when you will submit plans, and then when, if you get those approved, that you'll be starting the project?
As soon as we can compile it together.
Okay.
I mean, just so you guys know, Travis Wells is doing this for himself.
Okay, that's
He
fine.
wants to live here, so he's trying to get here and live here as well.
I'm just
But we
collecting
don't,
information.
just as fast as we can get it through.
So when you say just as fast, you're talking about a 6-month period?
I would assume if everything goes well that this month with the commission, that we'd be submitting preliminary plat the following month.
Yeah. And
then that usually takes about a month, and then you've got construction drawings and all that.
Okay.
So.
And I have a
Couple
question
months.
for you guys. You may be able to answer or not, but after they get the zone change, does the tax rate change for the property?
Staff know that? I don't think that's not.
We have to
Not
approve.
until there's something built on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
We have
so-
to approve the plan.
Okay, so I'll just explain to you why I asked the question. I've lived here before the town was incorporated, and when the Goobers were developing lots, when they created a subdivision and had it plat and approved, then they were on the hook for paying a minimum tax of $50 per each lot. Does that still apply for this situation?
After it's recorded.
So the only thing that would necessarily so my name is John Barlow, I'm the town administrator.
Yeah.
The only thing that would affect the property tax rate until you actually start construction is if there was some sort of agricultural exception that they had, so they're getting reduced tax payments. I don't think this has that.
Oh, once the
Oh, I'm sure
map
it
is
does.
recorded, then they're going to assess
Open
each
space
lot
now,
individually.
At final plat
And
is
it
when
will
it'll
be
change.
higher.
Is it currently in Greenbelt?
It must be.
It is Greenbelt.
I think he's got it out of Greenbelt.
So if it's in Greenbelt, once you actually record the lots, then it changes. But just because he does a zone change, that's not gonna affect him, but that's on his dollar, not us.
Yeah, I understand that. So that's the motivating factor for wanting to go ahead or a primary motivating factor, is go ahead and push the project forward as fast as you can, because the tax rate goes up as soon as you record the lots.
But I guess what I'm saying is that doesn't matter, that happens at the very end of your project, when you final plat it, not preliminary plat. Preliminary plat, nothing changes until you final plat it, it's built, done, designed.
So you can get a zone change to zone change to residential from any other zone, and the tax rate doesn't go up.
As far as I know.
Until it develops.
And so it's when you have not a preliminary plat. I'm just figuring that out.
Final plat.
So,
I think it's when it's recorded.
so when you do a preliminary, it doesn't change, but it's when you record it.
Record the final plat.
As a subdivision or something like that.
So when you, and where in this process does the does the town, and I know it may be a question for the town council, but you may know. But where in this process does the town council approve the plat?
They have to see it first.
Yeah, we have to do the zone change.
This is
They
just
have to
a
come
zone
forward
change.
This is zone change, right?
And then they have to come through with infrastructure plans
Mhm,
and then their plat and hopefully a developer's agreement.
mhm.
And then we would ask them to record the developer's agreement
Okay.
so that it has teeth.
Okay, and so on this preliminary plot, this preliminary map that you're gonna make, then you're gonna include all of the things that you're being asked of, which is
You
the
will,
drainage.
yep, everything on preliminary plat, you'll see that.
Can I interject here? The town has to sign that subdivision plat before it's recorded, does it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that gives them the chance to make sure that everything is in conformance
Yep.
with what we have set forth, the access, the drainage, the fire access, all of those things. If the town is not satisfied, they won't sign the plat.
Well,
Okay, so-
and back to the water and stuff that
Yeah,
everybody's
that's
talking
what-
about, okay, the infrastructure. If we give him a zone change and he starts doing his work, he puts the development together. And then they say, okay, here's this many lots.
Mhm.
They get with Harold and the water department, everybody, and there's not enough water.
Yeah.
Okay, then they either reduce their lots or they come up with a whole bunch of money to build up the infrastructure to make sure that we'll take care of that.
So when you say reduce the lots, you mean?
Less lots, less
Less
houses.
lots, or
Bigger lots.
expanding the.
Make it so that they're using less water. But that all comes later. All we're trying to do is get them a zone change, nothing else, nothing else.
Okay, thank you very much for answering my question.
Hopefully it
I
helps,
really,
sorry.
I really do appreciate that.
Is there any other questions that the planning commission has for me?
No.
For Mr. Wells? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If nobody else has any questions, can I get a motion? to close this public
I have a
hearing?
comment. I have a comment.
Forrest,
Yeah,
I'm not able to hear him very well, is it?
I thought I heard Forrest.
Yeah, it's really quiet.
Forrest, can you speak into the microphone?
sure, I'll try. Is that better?
There we go.
Thank you.
I do have a question. There is evidently talk of using Rome Avenue. And that the town, someone in the town said that would be acceptable, is what I'm understanding. And I guess I'd like to know, number one, who that person is that said that was acceptable. And I'd also like to comment that the town has a transportation roadmap showing access to this parcel under review as being either from Highway 59 or from Main Street. It shows no access from Rome Avenue. Totally opposed to that.
Access to 59, that's not right.
Probably.
It is right. It's on the town map.
Right, what did you say?
I don't think we have an answer to at least I don't have an answer to your first question of who. And thank you for your other comment about the roads. Anybody else? Going once? Cindy.
My name's Cindy Lindhorn. I live at 1582 North Zion Circle. 3 years ago, we bought 15 acres because we wanted to live in the country. We bought 15 acres. We put one house because we want to live in the country. Travis, what I'm hearing, wants to live in the country. 21 houses is not living in the country. My house is directly affected by your property. We positioned our house so that we see no other houses. I'm in my backyard. I have all the view. I see no people, no nothing. I see cows, I see wildlife, I see mountains. 21 houses is what I hear I'm gonna see. 21 houses means 52 cars probably. Noise. Right now I can go out and it's quiet, it's peaceful. We moved here for the country living. Peace, quiet, view, the night sky, like all the things Kathy said. I don't want to look out the back of my I don't want to be sitting by my pool and have 21 houses right there, hearing them blaring their music or driving up and down, starting their cars, their motorcycles, their ATVs. That's not country living to me. That's not why I moved here. I can have that in St. George. We could have built in St. George. I don't want to live in a subdivision or near a subdivision. So I am completely against this, not to mention all the, yeah, water pressure. We can barely get water for a shower in our house. They're gonna put 21 more houses right over there, which is about 500 yards from our property. 21 more people are gonna be using the same water that I can't even get enough pressure to squirt out my faucet. No.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you,
All right,
Cindy.
let's close this hearing.
I'll make a motion, we close the portion
I'll
of
second
the
that.
hearing. on this.
Can we have a vote, please?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Public hearing's closed. Should we discuss this and?
Yeah,
We have another public hearing.
we do.
Yeah, we have one
We
more
could probably
public
wrap
hearing.
this one up first, so I guess we can go in whatever order we want.
Because some people may want to leave
Yeah.
after this, and so anybody that's been here for an hour, I'd like to give them the opportunity to leave. So, are we in the same,
Well, I don't see how anything's changed since the
I don't either,
public hearing that we didn't have a month ago.
I don't either.
Yeah, I made a list of who was for and who was against, and I only got one abstention, so everybody else was against. I suppose that's pretty common in a public hearing. People that don't want something are more likely to show up than people are for it. So we'll take that with a grain or two of salt. But I'm going to imagine that the average resident of Apple Valley doesn't want views obstructed whenever possible. But then there's a long list here of things that are concerns that a variety of people said. And the first one on my list, and it was one of the first people that talked, was concerned that whatever agreements we might make with this landowner won't be followed, and or couldn't possibly not be. I've no way of knowing that, but I have to say that at this stage of the game, to make a zone change on a promise, as soon as we make the zone change, this thing could go up for sale. And what's to prevent individual acre buyers from picking off that property? And there's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
It just feels to me like it's premature to do a zone change I'm for a lot of the things that are being proposed. If every single thing that's being proposed that's good for the town were to happen, you're really hard pressed to not call this a win.
All right, if there was another million-gallon water tank up there.
There's a whole bunch of
That,
things.
that,
Good.
that they have to have enough water to do their project. We can't, we're not approving the project. We're talking about a zone
So to
change.
me, to make a zone change puts that land in play. And
But no matter who buys that land, they still have to come back and ask us for a plat and for this and for that. And
doesn't
if-
matter.
Yeah.
But if they can't get the water, if they can't get the
No,
other stuff.
individual acre buyers can start popping up and offering us.
Not without a roadway. Absolutely not. Yeah.
We put a 1,000-foot driveway on our property.
But it was a road to the beginning of your property, and then you had to put one into your property.
Right.
So there is no road. Yeah, I mean, the only way that would possibly work on this one is if they sold off the couple 1 acre lots on Rome, and then everybody else behind them would be screwed. That's not gonna work. That was never, if we give them a zone change right now, and they said, you know what, I don't wanna do it. I'm gonna build one house out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm gonna sell the rest of this to somebody else. Nobody can move forward on this, even though it's a zone 1 acres, without coming in with a road design, coming in with utilities. That's
Right.
not.
Which means, I'd just like to see the things happen in the, I don't, this land is currently designated as open space.
Yes.
And sure, it's on our long-term general map for it to be
1 acre
1
lots.
acre. But it's not ready for that, as you just pointed out.
Well, there's no developer in the world that's gonna spend the money to design a water system, to design roadways and everything else without having a zone change. Because if they spend all that money and then we don't give them a zone change, they just wasted all that money.
But we could have a developer agreement.
So maybe we,
That's got some teeth, and right now we don't.
well, so maybe we recommend the town council approve it with a developer agreement.
I'd like to see the developer, I know, again,
They can't, if they don't have it, then we don't accept that we're agreeing to it, right?
Just because we were to deny doesn't mean the council can't say yes.
The council's already made up their mind, so whatever we say.
Whatever we say, they can override anyway.
And I understand, I have confidence in the council to do what's right, to get this done right. But from a planning, it's our job to do the planning.
Have these guys given us any kind of rough idea on how many 1 acres that they may need in order to help out with the other infrastructure that they're gonna use?
I think that's
Well,
a
he said
discussion.
21 to 25
that's-
lots.
That's a discussion for the city and the developer.
Well, that's one of the things that Alan's concerned with right now is that, you know, somebody else they could sell it and somebody else could come in. So if it's approved, then they need to have a development agreement before it's approved for the zone change. Then that gets recorded to the lot and nobody else can do anything without following that developer agreement. So.
Because that's what we made Bob Campbell do. We made,
Exactly,
you know,
exactly. That's my point. So
Yeah.
if we say, yeah, we'll give them the zone change only with a developer agreement. So then the town council says, okay, bring us the developer agreement. And then based on the planning commission, we'll approve it. If he turns around and sells it the next day, the next person has to follow that developer agreement. So let's not approve it carte blanche. Let's say with a developer agreement, we will approve it. Otherwise, no. I mean, is that reasonable? I think that's reasonable. What do you think, Lee?
Well, my whole point is that's a decision for town council to make.
That's
We
right.
can't.
Yeah,
Can't we put that in our
I'm reluctant to make a
recommendation, though?
decision.
They can take our recommendation, do whatever they want with it. They make the final decision. So if that's what they want to do, then that's what they will do. Whether we say yes.
And at this stage of the game, we're talking, I know there's been a lot of conversations with town staff and people on the town council and apparently other people
No.
about what they're planning on doing. I get that. And I would love to know, if we make a zone change, it's zoned now, RE1. And it's out of our hands what happens after that.
Yeah.
Well, for us, the planning commission, the town council, yes, I would hope if they decide, and again, I'm talking for myself now. This
Right.
is not part of the public hearing. You're probably getting, based on what I'm saying, that I'm leaning toward voting no for this.
Right.
And it's for the reasons that I'm saying. If it comes, I do hope that if it gets to the council and they do approve the zone change, that it does come with some strings. But at this stage of the game, the strings that are attached to it that we might ask for are still unknowns. We don't know what of.
And if we deny it, the town council has more authority.
From a planning commission perspective, my concern is that I don't want to get us, I don't like the idea of setting a precedent for us to make a zone change with so many unknowns. It's just not a good planning commission practice as far as I'm concerned.
Let's get a motion to get on to the rest of the meeting.
I don't want to shut you down. I mean, you obviously you have a different perspective on it, and if whatever.
I definitely have a different perspective as someone who owns land or, you know, that kind of, they have rights as well. And if they're in our general map to have that approval and they're willing to take those steps, we need to look at that. We have other people, for instance, the guy that came out by me, he came and asked for a zone change. And there was a whole bunch of neighbors, myself included, that said, hey, we don't want 100 rental cabins. That's different than 21 houses. We don't want 100 rental cabins next door to our house. Everybody out there has, the minimum lot out there is 10 acres. All these people around here, most of them have a 1 acre lot. And this guy's talking about a 2.5 acres as general. I mean, and even if he does one, they're not trying to go smaller than what everybody has. And so that guy out there, the planning commission, the town council, everybody approved that for 100 rental cabins and in my backyard.
Right. And imagine if you were multiplied by 20, 30, 40 people who were affected by this. Think about how
Well, there was,
challenging it would
there's
be for
18
us to
people
bring
living there that have
Okay,
10
we're,
acre
we're,
lots,
we're
so.
getting off topic.
Anyways, I'm just, he has a right, just like the guy that bought the land next to me, is all I'm saying.
I don't
And
disagree.
if it fits in the general plan, and he's willing to do the work necessary to make sure that there's no burden on the town for water, for roads and things like that to make it work, I don't really see why we should be denying the guy. That's all I'm saying. That's my opinion.
I agree with you, Richard.
Can we have a motion?
You got something written down there?
I would like to move, we recommend the town council would deny the zoning map amendment request for this northwest quarter of parcel AB 1329. Based on the fact that I don't think we have adequate existing infrastructure at this time to make sure it's going to even be possible.
I'd second that.
Vote?
I,
Aye.
Aye?
No.
No. Okay, so that's 4-1. Our next item on the, for public hearing is the zone change to parcel AB -1321 -B and AB -1321C from open space to tourist commercial. Tourist commercial.
Tourist commercial zone.
Where is this? Yes.
Yeah, we
do.
approved that,
Okay.
2, 3 months ago.
Yeah. Tourist commercial is supposed to run, these lots are 2.5 miles from Highway 59.
Did we open the public hearing?
No, I'm just making a statement. And on our tourist commercial, it was only supposed to be 1/2 mile from the highway. But let's open the public hearing now.
I'm sorry, could you repeat those parcel numbers, please?
I'm sorry, but I can't.
It's AB 1321B and AB 1321C.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is on
Main Street,
pretty much the outskirts of the town on Main Street. North of-
out by the big bump.
Just before you drop off the hill, or start to drop off the hill, correct?
Yeah, right before you make the turn off into Gooseberry.
Correct.
Yep.
Now, before we had created tourist commercial zone, we had a camping site on the other side, on AB 1323. And that never came through. Because of the water, bringing the water that far down. So at this time, I'd like to open a public hearing to see if anybody has anything to say about this.
Is the applicant here?
It's the same person.
Oh, it's you.
Hi, everybody. I didn't realize that there was an option to attend in person, so I'm here in Washington, Utah,
Oh, good.
on the road. But my name's Salem Stanley, and I'm the applicant.
Oh, true.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Who is that?
John?
Can we do a roll call vote? Just go into, did I miss that?
Roll call vote for what?
To move into public hearing?
No, she didn't.
We don't have to do a vote to open a public hearing, I don't think, do we?
I think so. I think it does require a motion and a vote. Is that okay?
Sure, I move that we open a public hearing.
Thank you.
Vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, so Salem, this is yours.
It's true. As of about 2.5 weeks ago.
Who is this?
This is Salem, Stanley.
Hi,
So what are you
everybody.
gonna do down
Long way
Well-
to the road.
Yeah, the intention, what our plans are is, it's right at the junction, as was said before, to at least two, probably three if you count Grafton, Mesa, but it's right at the junction of some of the world's best mountain biking. So what our plan is, eventually, is create some kind of a campground that's really catering to mountain bikers and people who want to they want to see the stars, they want to be out kind of away from the hustle and bustle of like Springdale and all the nonsense down there, and have access to be able to just go and hit the trails that they want to hit. So that's our intention. In the short term, I own a company called Vacation Races. We're the group that produces the Zion Half Marathon, the Zion Ultra Marathon, and amongst some other events.
Cars are. Where all the cars are. Where all the cars parked out there.
Yeah, once a year we've used it as a staging area for one of our events, and so that will be one of our intention in the short term is to use it just as a staging area, 2 or 3 times a year for some of our events, and then over time try to develop into a year-round campground, but that's likely several years away.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sam, where are you gonna get your what?
That's a good question. We don't have an answer to that. So that's why, obviously we won't be able to do anything official. Our events work off the grid. We bring in water from wherever we can source it, just for the one day for the events. But in terms of long term, we'll have to foot the bill to get water out there. And depending on what happens between now and then, maybe we'll have some neighbors that can help pitch in. I certainly don't have deep enough pockets to do it myself. So again, we're the goal, even in the short term, when we do have a campground, is probably more primitive. So we won't have flushing toilets or anything like that. I own a compost toilet company, so we'll be able to kind of manage most of that off the grid. Water's obviously a big issue. We bought some water shares as part of the purchase, but obviously we're gonna have to figure out how to manage that once we get to that stage.
Okay.
Anybody have any comments?
I'm wondering what side of the road is this on? Is it on the Smithsonian side or on the?
It's on the other side. So if you're going down Main Street, it's on your left.
Like where that old corral is, kind of out there?
Corral.
Past that.
It's right before the turnoff on Gooseberry.
It's roughly 50 yards before the turnoff. The LDS church owns right at the turnoff, and we're the next property down.
So which side of the road is it on? Is it on the,
east,
sorry.
The east side.
Is it on the Grafton side or is it on the?
It's on the west side.
Oh, did I get it wrong? Yeah, it's the west side. Oh my gosh.
West side.
Yeah, but which side of the Gooseberry Road? Towards Grafton or towards the Apple Valley?
Apple Valley.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have 2 lots.
The total is 60 acres. So one's 20 acres, one's 40 acres, and we bought them both.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Have a comment?
I have a comment.
This is primitive camping, right? Okay.
I have a comment.
Who's I?
Forrest.
All right, Forrest.
First of all, I want to thank all of the PC for putting up with all this. This is great stuff we're getting. I have a comment about the general plan. Would that need to be changed before we talk about zoning?
Yes.
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
John, do you have the general plan?
Yeah.
I do have the
That's
general
open
plan, yes.
space.
General plan shows open space, not tourist commercial.
Plan was for it on the online version of the map. It was blank.
And it's open space.
It's open space.
It is now.
Yeah.
Is that in the general plan as open space as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, the general plan will have to change to tourist commercial.
We have to,
Forrest, we can't hardly hear you, buddy. You're gonna have to speak up.
I'll try to get closer. Yeah, the general plan would have to change to tourist commercial the way I understand it.
That's a good point, Forrest. Thank you.
Do you have?
We'd have to change the general map if we decide we're gonna make the zone change.
I agree with that.
But we can still have a public hearing about the zone change now.
I have another comment.
Okay.
There is a map showing open space surrounding this. That's incorrect. There is a 40-acre parcel zoned for cabins right adjacent to this. So now we're going to have 100 acres of cabins and campgrounds.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I pulled that off the website.
Website's not necessarily correct.
Understood.
So, quick question. The land that the LDS church owns, what is it zoned?
Open space.
Open space. It's a Boy Scout camp.
Yeah, I know, I've been out there camping with Boy Scouts many times. So I was asking, because they use it for camping, so that's what I was curious. So it was never zoned for camping? They've had that since before we were a city? Or what's that?
Yeah, before we were in town. They've had that out there since I was a kid.
Yeah, it's not a nice place to go camp.
Forrest, did you have anything else?
Just to be sure that we're talking about the same parcel, the one I'm talking about is AV 1327B.
Oh, sir, wrong parcel.
Nothing to do with Boy Scouts.
1321 B and C.
Yeah, the one that's zoned cabins is 1327B.
Okay, gotcha.
I almost like to see camp rather than.
Actually, we'll wait till we get to the discussion part. Any other comments?
I just one more. What about fires? How many campgrounds are we talking about? And I worry about the fire part of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, frankly, I am too. So we'll that's to be determined, and the city can certainly restrict us to something that's reasonable. My initial thoughts, again, this is raw. If you look at the map, or like if you visit the property, the back third, like the western third is really great. This little juniper forest, it's about all that's left. And I have no intention of touching any of that, because I kind of want to be able to put some campgrounds inside of there. So you can get a little bit of privacy if you're camping. But you know, whatever fire code says, we'll definitely abide by that, and we would have whatever, you know, is required of us on site to be able to make sure that that's minimized, or any risk is eliminated.
Would you consider a non-solid fuel option, maybe?
I mean, we can limit fires. I mean, we can prohibit fires if the town asks us to. You know, as much as I love having a fire and know how to handle a fire, I know everybody doesn't. So having campfires is not a deal breaker for us. We just want to be able to use it for our events and eventually for some basic.
Understand. Just my sinuses are screwed up, so
yeah.
Fire air is horrible.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a comment.
Do you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Kirk Willie. I don't know any of you. I haven't lived here, but a longtime landowner. Your name is Salem?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, Salem. I'm actually your neighbor. I own 120 acres just kind of surrounding him on 3 sides.
I have been trying to find you. I saw that you were one of the owners. I could not figure out how to get a hold of you. So it's nice to meet you. I wish I was there in person.
I know what you're talking about, the juniper forest. I've got the other part of it. That's beautiful land up through there.
No doubt.
So a couple of questions, and I might have missed this. How many campsites were you proposing?
I don't have a number. It's that's, again, I literally bought it like 2.5 weeks ago. Like we don't have a plan. We haven't done anything. It just wanted to see if it's even possible.
Well, congratulations on the purchase.
Well, we'll see.
Beautiful. Yeah, I eventually plan on building a home on my land, and of course, there's enough acreage. We'll be coming to you with some plans in the sooner rather than later. One question, well, kind of to both of you. This would impact your plans and impact me as well. Is there anything on the table or proposed in terms of improvements to that Main Street access off of the highway?
As far as water, pavement, what are you talking about?
No, just the access. I mean, it's such a hairpin turn.
We
changed.
We just barely put the S-curve in there.
When did that happen?
It's just been open for about 2 weeks.
It's awesome. It's awesome, by the way. I love it. I'm a big fan. It's fantastic.
A nice perpendicular turn off.
Okay, I guess I don't have a question.
And there's even a turning lane now, which is amazing. I love it now. It's so good.
The state helped us out with that quite a bit.
Yeah, that was so dangerous before. So.
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Somebody online, I think, had, yeah.
Yes, so again, I don't know if Mr. Stanley has talked to the fire chief, but we've got a drought problem and it's not getting any better. And I am very, very hesitant to have campgrounds, especially when there are restrictions on burning. The air is getting worse. The wildfire season just devastates everything. Currently, the fire flow with the pumps on does not meet the state requirements to provide water to the fire department should a fire occur. And with a wildfire, it's going to spread fast. It's for this reason, nothing personal, Mr. Stanley, but I am asking the Planning Commission to deny the zone change to the campground for this very reason. And I just don't think right now it's a very wise thing to do.
So even building a perimeter around it, like, so to where the fire couldn't escape the property, is that wouldn't change anybody's mind?
That doesn't change my mind personally.
Yeah, we don't.
All
right, thanks. Anybody else?
Chief Junior's right there. You got something to say about fires, buddy? We know you don't like them.
Yeah. We don't have any water. We're not starting any campfires. That's all I have to say.
Okay, that's for the fire chief, but he's final say.
So maybe no open fires, period.
Yeah.
That's not a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
That's an easy restriction to even enforce. It's pretty easy to spot a fire when it's on.
Okay, let's close the,
I'd like to move that we close the public hearing.
thank you.
I'll second.
Vote,
Aye.
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 We would need to make, changes
I
to
think we
the
need
general
to
map.
revisit general map before we go anywhere, so we would table.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's too far away.
honestly, it's the spirit of the tourist commercial was to keep everything contained and relatively close to the highway. As far as that particular zone,
It doesn't say that on your website.
No, but we've all talked about it a bunch of times.
Well, we don't have it, we don't have anything designated as tourist commercial now, but when we came up with it, it was designed to be within a certain reasonable.
Well, and at least until that's filled up, but there's another need for it. There's plenty other land closer to the highway.
Yeah, and again, my big concern is the same one that I had earlier, which is, once the zone is changed, we have no control over what happens to that property in terms of ownership. And I need to see our first hotel proposal come to us right on the entrance to Gooseberry.
That's where,
No,
it
thank
that's
you.
where it did come.
So
No, but I'm saying that first,
in the tourist commercial, is that what hotels?
yeah, that's my point. This puts,
I thought that's
you could put an amphitheater out there if draws the plans properly and gets past council. Once it's tourist commercial, there's a laundry list, 3 or 4 pages long of things you can do with it.
There's a whole pile of stuff in the tourist commercial.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
So I just, this doesn't have the spirit of the
Hotels,
purpose.
bike shops.
Kind of like the yellow pages.
I'd have to look into that.
Yeah, it's a relatively new, we haven't even gone back to the general map and reapplied. If you look now at the area where we've kind of, in spirit, said we want tourist commercial to be, it's just zone commercial.
Right.
And even that doesn't go anywhere near this property.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is 2 miles from that, so I just.
2.5.
From the end of that, it's probably.
Richard Baker.
It's 2.5 to the front piece of his property, the 60 or so.
From 59, yeah.
Yeah, but he has let me say a 40 and a 60, is that right? Or excuse me, a 20 and a 40. So to the 40, that's the bigger one. So it's 2.52 to the 40.
What in effect we'd be doing if we approved this was we'd be saying, at some point when we get around to changing the commercial to tourist commercial on the map,
Yeah.
you'd have a couple mile gap between that and this. And all of a
It
sudden.
doesn't fit the general plan right now, so we really can't approve it. How do we do that?
Well, it's not even on the general plan anyways like that, so.
It's not on the general plan for down there, for up by the highway, it's supposed to be.
Right. And I wasn't on the plan commission then, but I was part of a lot of those conversations and I.
It doesn't mean that,
This is one of those
I do agree with that.
it doesn't mean that a more detailed formal proposal with a different potential zone change couldn't come before us at some point, but
Yeah.
as the application reads, I personally don't see. Anybody else wanna?
No, unless there was water down there and fire hydrants and things like that, I can't see it. Although a primitive campground would be something not so bad there.
Right, just not in a first commercial zone.
It's not in the
So then,
But a C, you could do, can you do a C3 there? Because it's not close enough to the highway.
don't we have another zone that's designed like tents or something like that he could come back later and apply for, but not under this particular one?
Yeah.
We may have,
That way he
we
doesn't-
may want to look at the general plan first to see
Yeah,
if
we
it's
have to
something
see.
we want to have there.
Right, yeah, we really need to spend some time on this.
But for hotels down that way.
We need to have a meeting about, we have a meeting.
I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to the town council that they deny the application.
Vote,
Aye.
come back to us, Stanley, on this.
And I apologize. I had a little trouble hearing you. I heard they come back to us, which I appreciate. Did you guys say there was another zone I ought to be asking for, or do I need to wait?
We have
or what?
to look
We're gonna look at it.
We have to look at our general plan to see what would fit in that area. This may not be the right zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to work on our end to get some things. straightened out.
I understand. I don't want to be a pest. Is this a year? Is this a month? Is this like, can you help?
Oh,
No, we keep having the same public hearing over. and over again.
We're a little more ambitious than that, so.
We'll be working on this, because this is something we really need to take care of, and that's work on our general map more, and just really nail it down. So, I will ask you to come back to us in 6 months at the latest, or something like this.
Well, he can always go on the town website and look at zones and see if he wants to propose something else. And
Yeah.
that's up to him. He's welcome to try.
Understood. Yeah,
Chairman.
I'm not, again, I'm not trying to cause problems. So I appreciate any input you guys have. I sincerely do. So thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is, we're gonna elect a new chairperson.
I would like to make a motion, we elect Alan Angel as chair for the planning commission in 2021.
Second?
Vote?
Aye.
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 That sounded kind of
Enthusiasm, very good.
Okay, we need a co-chair also to run meetings in case Alan can't be here.
I nominate Janet Prentice as the co-chair for the planning commission for the next year.
I'll second.
Vote please.
Aye.
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 Aye. You get to close this out. I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.